What's good people? And welcome to episode 35 of It's Just Not Adding Up. Yeah. I'm OBO, and over the years I've noticed gay is a scary word for a lot of people, which is wild because it's just gay. But don't worry, I've decided to be your gay coach. Everyone's talking about equality and love, but I don't know. It's just not adding up. So I asked over on Instagram, and I'll drop my Instagram somewhere right here, for you guys to ask me any questions you guys had, and you guys definitely asked some questions. So let's get right into it. So I got a lot of questions asking if I was single, basically, and yes, I am single. Yeah. Do you have any advice on coming out to your family? So for me, I came out to my dad exclusively because I was about to tell one of my close friends. And I knew that I had to tell my dad first. Before I told anybody platonically, I wanted to make sure my dad knew. I just wanted to give him that. And so I told my dad exclusively. I didn't tell my entire family. It came like in stages. And I would say the same, like gauge who you feel most comfortable with and allow them in. And also don't think that you have to reserve your personality until you come out, right? Like you can still be yourself, even if you're not necessarily ready to come out with the words or ready to tell people, you know, how you identify. I don't want you to then suppress who you are into that, right? Like, so start with, you know, kind of you owning your truth first and you walking in your fullness. And I think coming out will become easier and also will become safer. Tell me about your first experience with a guy. Oof. I met a guy, I was working at Abercrombie & Fitch. I think I met him on the train to work. I was on the train back then. I think I met him on the train to work. He worked in the mall in some capacity then. We ended up having a few like little run-ins in the food court, that kind of thing. Then led us to like exchanging information. Then led us to like, I don't know. And then somehow we ended up having my first experience. But yeah. Advice you would give a bisexual person that's too gay for straight, but too straight for gay. Yeah, it's funny. I did a video on bisexuality. If you guys want to check it out, it's in the Rolodex. But I will say I do think that the plight of a bisexual man is a very interesting one, because often you do find yourself like looking for allyship, right? Like on the one hand, there is a big group of gay people who will then make bisexual people gay, right? Like, you know, he gay, right? He just wanted like women, or he's hoping for that kind of thing. And then you have women who associate gay with any man who's ever experienced a man and don't really validate the bisexual experience. And so I think it does become very tough. I do know that there are black beautiful women. I have black beautiful women friends who are very okay with a man being bisexual, very okay with hearing about his experiences, very okay with the fullness of a bisexual man. So I know it exists, but I do recognize that it could be a little bit difficult. I would say keep being yourself. Yeah, keep being yourself. That's the best bet. Keep being you. Why does pretty hot boy privilege have such a vice grip on the community? I think pretty privilege in general has a vice grip on everybody. I think most people are trying to capitalize on their aesthetics.
Oh, my skin looks lighter.
Like, I think people don't really give their other attributes the same energy, the same value as they give to their outer appearance, right? A lot of people have a lot of things to offer, but still want to lead with the way that they look. Likewise, because society has told us in a lot of ways that the way we look is our best attribute, and in a lot of ways it is not. But yeah, I think it has a vice grip on community at large. What is something you tell your younger self? That you don't have to be perfect. And this, I think, is a big thing for queer people in general. I think a lot of us feel like because we are confused when we're young about what this is and what this means and who we are, that we then think we have to be perfect in every other aspect of our lives, right? Like if I'm gonna be gay or confused or have attraction to men or be this hyper marginalized person, I'm gonna be black and queer, all these different things that are gonna work against me, I better make sure that every single thing else is in line. And I would take that pressure off me. For sure. Do you think it's easier to be black and gay in the corporate world instead of black and straight? Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I say that because this is not a corporate place, but this was in a doctor's office. I went to I had strep throat and I went to like an urgent care, and there was a white guy in there. He was like super rude, And usually in public spaces, unless you like call me a name that I don't like, I'm able to like still pass over kindness. And so I was just like, okay, blah, blah. And I made a joke as he was like, I don't know, testing me for strep or whatever. And I was like, I gotta tell my boyfriend to stop kissing me. I didn't have a boyfriend, but I just said it, right? Because I recognized that I thought that he was queer, right? And so when I said it, I think he then felt like we had some kind of commonality. So he instantly became nice to me, like instantly offered me conversation, was very communicative. And I was like, is this even the same person? But I think because we now had that aligned, so I will say, like, to bring it home, in corporate spaces, I think sometimes because queer exists amongst all races, sometimes it does put you in a position to people to feel like they can identify with you more. Because a lot of people in the corporate world don't identify with the Black experience at all, and also don't have any Black friends. And the Black friends they do have sometimes aren't necessarily the Blackest, if you catch my drift. And so, but they have some queer friends. Most people know somebody who's queer. And so I will say in that regard, and then like DEI is a big thing now, and you know what I'm saying? So I think like, wait, DEI, diversity and inclusion, DEI. You know what I mean? At what point in your life did you begin to embrace your queerness, and why? That's a good question. I began to embrace my queerness, honestly, when I was like 21. I dated a guy my last year in college, and I think because my first time like legitimately just being like so whatever about a guy, that I think it made me feel like I needed to like figure this thing out a little bit more. I was still uncomfortable, so I didn't like say anything to people, right? But in my mind, I was like, this is like a real thing. And I think like that kind of started me to kind of really self-assess and really work through some things and all the things. And so fast forward to about 26 is when I put language to mouth and started to like legitimately walk into my fullness. I really just wanted to be my full self. I was sick of like choosing spaces where I could be me and spaces where I couldn't. I was sick of, you know, being like uncomfortably private, you know, when I was really just hiding. You know what I mean? I was just sick of all the games. I was too old. I'm too old. I have too much to offer to be like worried about every little minute detail in my life that shouldn't even be a problem and isn't a problem for me. So that kind of led me to continue to do my thing. So I got a lot of questions about what my type is. And I always say my type is a very, 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 very nice guy. And everybody's like, oh, that's bull, but it's a legitimate thing. I love a nice, sweet-natured man, emotionally available. It just soothes my spirit to be around somebody who is just emotionally mature and can carry a conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I feel like the physical just sways, like the skin tone spectrum, the weight. I mean, everything just sways. I really can't like say a pinpoint like an actual physical thing. I want you to be attractive, in my opinion, right? But I don't know like a physical thing. But that kind of stuff, whew.
That's a Black king right there.
How do you communicate with an ex after you've both healed and want to remain friends? This is an interesting question. I think we have to be honest about whether or not you guys are friends. I think sometimes we hold on to relationships because it was friendly, but I don't know if you guys were actual friends. I think sometimes in relationships too, there's an intimacy added to the fun, right? So you guys enjoy dinners, you guys laugh at the same movies, those kind of things, but a lot of that is like because you're invested in the person. There's things that I enjoy doing because it's you, not necessarily because I enjoy doing it. And I think you gotta get lost in the sauce with their relationship sometimes. And then you end it and then kind of, you're like, why is it so awkward? Or why don't we like really mesh well in this space? Is it because of, you know, old feelings? Nah, sometimes it's because you guys really wouldn't be friends had you guys not dated. You know what I mean? So I think acknowledging whether or not it's a real thing, like if friendship is a real thing, or if you guys just have enough history and you guys want to maintain it. And either way, being honest about both. Before you came out, how would you handle a situation where you heavily caught feelings for a guy? That's a real thing. I think when you're like, I'm about to say in the closet, I'm trying to stop saying that. But like when you are uncomfortable or hiding or whatever you want to call it, I think it's tough because you guys are growing, especially when you're young. You know what I mean? You guys are both growing. you both have the propensity to walk into your truth at different times, which then can become an issue, right? If someone is getting a little more comfortable than you are, and then you aren't ready yet, but you care about them immensely, but they're telling their friendships and telling their families and like all the things, you're like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? I think it can be a little bit muddy in that regard. But I would say being honest and being highly communicative is always the best bet, you know what I mean? To figure out where you guys stand, and really how much to step on the gas, if we're being honest, right? A lot of relationships are cultivated in the vacuum between same gender loving relationships, and it isn't the best space to build true, like, love, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, like it feels intense because it's just you and them against the world often, and you guys are friends in public and boyfriends in private and all these other things, but it can put an added pressure that is just a bunch. So, okay, we're getting there. So HIV shaming inside and outside of the community. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are afraid of HIV, right? Because of the way it's been portrayed within movies and the things that we've seen, right? A lot of people look at HIV as this thing that will lead to death. And so people don't understand the virus, you know what I mean? I think doing research, asking your doctor questions will help you then understand like what it is and what it isn't. There are things you can take, i.e. PrEP. There's a lot of different things that will prepare you to have a better understanding and a better heart posture about HIV. It's not something you can get, it's not airborne. You're not gonna get it from hugging your friends. I personally have friends who are HIV positive. They live full, healthy lives. They have relationships with people that are mature and understand what type of time it is. And so I think like being educated about what it is and what it isn't, I think is very necessary within the community and outside of the community for sure. Would you date someone who was HIV positive? I have dated someone who was HIV positive before. I think it's called a serodifferent relationship. And it was fine. I was on PrEP throughout the entire relationship and it was fine. I think also you have to understand where you are with it though. I think if you are not somebody who will be comfortable dating someone who's positive, do some self-assessment before you then dive in, because I don't think making the opposite person feel uncomfortable is fair either. You know what I mean? I understand it comes to conversation. I'm not saying just like dive in, and I don't think anyone would expect you to just be like not asking any questions or the things if you don't know. But at the same time, like don't sign up for something where you're gonna make the opposite person feel uncomfortable. And that works both ways. I think I've been lucky that people have been honest about their status. I know people are not always comfortable in that way. But yeah, I think if you are comfortable, for sure. But I think if you are not comfortable, take a step back and do some self-assessing and figure out either if you can get there, if you can't, those kinds of things before you then welcome somebody else in and then project a lot of stuff onto them and not be fair. What are your views on sex on the first date?
If I want to, I will. Bitch, I want to, I will. If I want to, I will. If I want to, I will.
I'm with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you talk a little bit about being LGBT in D9? So those of you guys who don't know, D9 is the Divine Nine. It encompasses the black fraternities and sororities. And I'm an alpha. And I think when I first crossed, of course, there was some apprehension about telling people, but that was in general. But I think it also was a specific apprehension about telling my frat brothers, even though I knew there were other queer folks within the organization. But I think it just was kind of frowned upon, of course, and people looked at it in a certain way, and there's all these different things. And so I was a little bit apprehensive, but I think after I walked into my fullness, it was like, hey, you can't bully me out of an organization. So I don't feel any way about it now. I do know there's a lot of people in there who are doing some great work in the LGBTQ space in all organizations. And so, yeah, if you're part of a frat or a sorority, I would advise you to be yourself and let them adjust, not you. What made you decide you were gay opposed to bisexual? If I had a choice, huh? I'm gay. Yeah, I'm just gay. I'm not bisexual. Yeah. Any advice for the young gays? Heck yeah, y'all, I'm proud of y'all, to be honest. Y'all are, what's up? Y'all said, this is me. What's poppin'? And keep that same energy. Keep doing you. Keep doing you. Keep doing you. Like, keep doing you. Do you ever feel sad about the likelihood of not having biological kids because you're gay? Whew. Yes. That's been a fear of mine basically my whole life. I've always wondered, because I've always wanted to be a father. My dad made being a dad seemed like the best gift to people. He just loves being a father. And I was like, oh, like I want to be a dad one day. And of course, like, you know, where I lay, can't really create kids. But of course, there's other ways to do it, expensive ways. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a thought of mine. Like, can I afford surrogacy? What would that look like? How would I go about it? Even being in a relationship, right? Like, will I find someone who also wants to have kids, or somebody who I deem worthy enough to be in a relationship with me? Just all the different things. So yes, there's definitely been a thought that has scared me in a lot of ways, but I'm hopeful that I will be somebody's dad at some point in this lifetime. So we will see. What are your thoughts on God after coming out? Such an interesting question, because I think some people act as if they aren't gay until they say it, right? Like in terms of like to themselves. Now, mind you, if I didn't tell you I'm gay, then I'm not gay to you, right? But like, I think a lot of us act like we're not gay as long as we don't say we can do all the things, but as long as we remain closeted. Because I think sometimes people in the church act that way too, right? They assume that people are queer, but as long as they don't say it, or as long as, you know, you just continue to fight the good fight, then, you know, we can still not pass over religious dogma and not be homophobic and not be all the things towards you. But the second you out your mouth say you are gay or identify as gay, then it becomes a whole thing. And so for me, I was gay before I told you guys. But me and God are still the same we were. Tight. Just talked to him a minute ago, matter of fact. Gonna talk to him after this. Huh? So yeah, we're good. I don't let people decide my relationship with God. I don't let people tell me where I should put him or where I shouldn't. Yeah, me and God are good. Yeah, so that was long. Hope you guys got something out of it. Hope you guys had your question answered. Feel free to drop some more questions in the comments. Feel free to say your response to any questions that I answered. And I will see you guys at episode 36. Keep creating space. Peace.